So these are some untold truths in regards to the UFO agenda that you probably have not heard about, but you should be aware about if you really want to have a grasp in regards to what has been going on in the realm of ufology over the last 10, 20, 100, 1,000 years. Now, there are obviously figures like David Grush that have come out, has been speaking about the government's involvement in covering up a lot of this information. Figures like Bob Lazar that have spoken about reverse engineering this alien craft. He makes it very clear that the origins of these craft could not have been terrestrial. And there are many so-called experts that speak about having access to top secret information, but often they present this idea that these extraterrestrial beings must all be benevolent. They are here for our enlightenment, and they don't speak in regards to the dark history of what is going on, at least in the last 50, 60, 100 years of extraterrestrials. It is so important to be aware that there are people that have come out to speak about what has been going on, risking their lives, many of which have ended up being suicided. People like Phil Snyder that spoke about his involvement in building underground bases in S4. Bearing in mind, there are many bases. Most people, when you speak about UFOs, they always go to Area 51, not realizing this is just one of the many few bases, not even a big one. There are bases like S4, S2, Groom Lake. There are over 100 bases dealing with extraterrestrial activity, underground bases and so forth. And this is coming about from people like Phil Schneider that spoke about this, spoke about his work in these underground bases and a firefight that ensued when they were digging deep enough, encountering extraterrestrial beings known as the Draco. Now, of course, this sounds like something built of air and imagination, but when there are so many people like Phil Snyder, Al Bielek, Stuart Sweetlow, some of these names you should check out that have come out, spoken about their direct experience with this, then you look at the litany of secret confidential information, which I've actually gotten access to and looked at. It is unequivocal that the government has been involved in covering up this information for a long time. The most unpalatable truth in regards to the UFO agenda is the 1954 peace treaty. So whereas a lot of people, a lot of the experts advocate for these extraterrestrial beings as being benevolent, how essentially they could not be here for any nefarious purposes because they would have obliterated us if they wanted to, the evidence runs contrary to that. There are a myriad of reports of alien abductions, of people that claim to have been abducted by aliens. And this is not just a minor phenomenon. In the 80s, this was a big phenomenon. They made a movie about this called The Intruders. And many of these people would have the artifacts in their body to show of these abductions. They would all make reference to the same kind of characteristics they find within these aliens, like the insectoid-like features that are reported to be present within the Greys and so forth. But in light of this, and in light of the figures like Phil Snyder that have reported President Eisenhower in 1954 brokering a peace treaty, mind you, that allowed these extraterrestrials to continue abducting human beings, performing cattle mutilations and so forth, in exchange for alien technology, craft and so forth. I mean, bearing in mind that a lot of the alien craft that we see is likely to have been reverse engineered by humans. I mean, evidenced by the fact that Bob Lazar was working on this, but the origins are unequivocally alien in the fact that this technology is not terrestrial in nature. But this treaty that took place shows that, one, the government was willing to allow human beings to be abducted in exchange for technology. I mean, nothing new here. Governments always broker very nefarious deals like that. But also the fact that the motivations underlying at least some of these extraterrestrial species are not benevolent. And when people speak about this topic, they either come from the perspective that these beings must be demonic, they're evil, they make reference to the Bible, speaking about these demonic entities and so forth, and it very well may have been a reference to these extraterrestrial beings, but not all of them are like that. There are many different races, and they are things of flesh and blood, and just like all of us on this planet, there are some people that have the capacity for evil and some good, and it is no different. But it is a very nuanced topic, and I find people that speak about this topic tend to paint with a very broad brush, and they don't have an understanding of the most basic truths in regards to the realm of ufology. They think everything is hearsay. We don't know anything. We do know where many of these extraterrestrial beings come from. We do know what many of their actions have been in the past, And we do know that they are real flesh and blood beings.